All right, good morning, fellow scientists. Today we're going to continue building our journal. And as we go through this, I'm going to be talking about the importance of the journal. We're actually going to be putting some very, very important stuff into it. And what you need to understand is I'm going to let you use this journal on just about everything unless it's mandated to me that you can't, which means formal assessments, CBAs, things like that. Of course, STAR, you can't use it. So this is very important. If you're absent, you need to let me know so I can send you these notes. And it's very, very important. Everything that I put up here, okay, that I write down, you need to put in your journal because it's extremely important. And this is going to help you build your study guides, your study sheets, your note cards, your vocabulary, everything that you need to know. Now today we're going to start on chemistry. I believe in getting into the lesson just as quickly as I possibly can. And so this is our objective. It's 8.5a. It's the very first chemistry objective. The student, which is you, together, we will understand the names, locations, and charges and masses of the protons and neutrons in the nucleus and the electrons in the electron clouds. Now, in the sixth grade, you did a little bit on protons, you did a little bit on periodic table, but we're going to start from the beginning. And so it's very important that you write this down, and as I'm talking, I expect you to write it down. I'm going to give you time to write things down. As the year progresses, I'm going to give you less and less time. And while you're writing this down, I'm going to kind of explain how we're going to do our lessons. We do our lessons in what is called I do, we do, you do. So I'm going to give you the notes, and then we're going to work through some things together, and then you're on your own. Any models that I give you, any assessments, anything, I try to really cut down on worksheets and things like that. Most of what I give you, you'll be putting into your journal and for use at a later date. So it's very, very important. I'm not a big believer in homework. I want to make sure that you do the work with me, and if you have any questions, you ask me. So hopefully you've had time to write this down. If not, I'll put it up. We'll review it. We'll be referring back to it throughout the lesson. And so you will have time as we go through this. And I'm going to use my different colored pen combination here. Okay. And so one thing that you need to remember is that atoms are the building blocks of all matter. And yes, write it down. If I write it down, you write it down. Okay? It's very important. It's just a habit you need to get into. If I write it down, if I say it more than once, it's important. Atoms are the building blocks of all matter. Okay? And there's basically two main parts of the atom. And I'm going to give you this information in two ways. I'm going to give you the notes and stuff, the words. Actually, I'm going to give it to you in three ways, and then I'm going to draw a little model, and then I'm going to give you a little chart. So you're going to have the information three ways, because on a test, you never know what you're going to see. You never know if you're going to have a multiple choice question. You never know if you're going to have a model that you need to identify. You never know if you have a chart that you need to fill in. Really, you just never know. Okay, so the atoms are the building blocks of all matter, and there are two main parts of the atom. And remember, again, our objective is to understand the names, locations, charges, and masses of the protons and neutrons in the nucleus and the electrons in the electron cloud. Okay? Excuse me. Okay, so the first part of the atom is the nucleus. And no, you don't have to do the color-coded pen. I do it for organization, for me, so I can make sure that I catch everything for you. Okay? The nucleus is the center. Okay, you hear the word nucleus quite often, and it just means the center. Okay, and then inside the nucleus, okay, you have the proton, and then you have the neutron. Okay, the proton has a positive charge. It has mass, which is very important to understand. It is how can I put this? It's the identity of the atom. Okay, so it's just like you know, you have your student ID number, you have your social security number. The number of protons determine the identity of the atom. Okay, so if an atom has one proton, then it has certain physical and chemical characteristics, and we call it hydrogen. If it has two, it's something completely different. Its reactivity is different. In other words, how it bonds with other atoms. Its physical and chemical characteristics can be different. So it's very important that you understand how critical that number of protons are. Okay, so the proton, it has a positive charge, it has mass, and it determines the ID of the atom. Okay, determines the identity of the atom. The neutron is also very important. It has a negative, okay, charge. And the symbol for the negative charge or the null charge is a circle. I'm sorry. It has no charge. I make that mistake all the time, but it's a very common mistake. If it's a mistake that I can make, it's a mistake that you can make. Okay, so neutrons are neutral. Neutral. N-E-U-T-R-A-L. Neutral. Okay, neutral. If you go too fast, you make a mistake, right? It also has mass. Now, a couple of very important facts about the nucleus. Okay, the nucleus is where the mass is. Okay, it also has a positive charge. Now, why does the nucleus have a positive charge? Well, if you look at what's in it, okay, it has two subatomic particles, and when I use the term subatomic particles, I'm talking specifically about protons, neutrons, and electrons. Inside the nucleus, you have two subatomic particles. You have the positive proton and the neutral neutron. So of those two, only one has a charge, and it's positive. So kind of by default, it has a positive charge. But it's very important. We're going to talk about that later on when we talk about what holds the atom together, because that's something we're going to have to remember. Okay? The other main part of the atom is the electron cloud. Okay? It surrounds the nucleus. Okay, and there's a lot of different models, but scientists have pretty much determined that electrons are on a path around the nucleus. So if you have the nucleus here, then you would have different looking paths that go around the nucleus, and they whiz around at very, very high speeds. Okay, so it surrounds the nucleus. It has a negative charge. Okay, and it has very little or no mass. Okay, I say that it has no mass. Technically, it has very little mass. It has 1/1836th of the mass of the proton. And yes, I have seen this number on STAR. Okay. Now, and another way to remember 1836, that's the year of the Texas Revolution, if you remember from 7th grade Texas history. And so the electron cloud contains electrons. Electrons have no mass or very little mass and have a negative charge. So you got to kind of keep both of these in mind, because you're liable to see both of them on the test, on the STAR test. Okay, and the electron cloud has a negative charge, and it's this positive and negative charge that keep the atom together from flying apart. It's the opposite charges that hold it together like a magnet. Okay, let me show you in a model. Okay, so again, let's go back to our objective. Okay, our objective is the student will understand the names, locations, charges, and masses of the protons and the neutrons in the nucleus and the electrons in the electron cloud. Okay, and so we're right on track. Okay, the proton has mass, positive charge, and it's in the nucleus. The neutron is in the nucleus, and it has a neutral charge and it has mass, and an electron cloud surrounds the nucleus. It's full of electrons. Let me write that down just in case. Full of electrons. Okay. Surrounds the nucleus, has a negative charge, and essentially electrons have no mass. Okay. Okay, so let's look at a model of the atom. Just a real simple model. Okay. In the center, you have what? That's correct. You have the nucleus. Okay, I probably should have drawn that in black, but oh well. We'll just go over it, and it'll be black and red. Okay. And so here we have the positive proton. We have the neutron. And remember, that's a circle with a line through it. That's a null symbol. It means nothing. Nothing. Nothing's there. No mass is there. Okay? And then you have, whizzing around at very high speeds, you have the electrons. Okay? Electrons. And they are negatively charged. And so you have this positive charge and this negative charge, and that is what keeps the atom together. It's this electrical attraction pulling them together between the proton and the electron that keeps the atom from flying apart. Okay? All right. So again, going back to our objective, inside there are two parts to the nucleus. To the atom, there's the nucleus with the proton, which is positive, that has mass, and the neutron that has no brain lock. I'm sorry, no charge. Again, this is where the mass is. Okay, and out here, these electrons are whizzing around, and they have no mass. Remember, they're in orbit. So the less mass they have, the faster they can go, the more energy they can make. So it's really, really important. Okay? And then finally, I'm going to give you this little chart, which is handy. You're going to see some assessments. If I can fix my dadgum document camera here. Okay, and I had a ruler around here someplace. It must have disappeared. No ruler. Okay, we're going to have to freehand it. So we're going to make a little chart. Let's make it in black. Okay. See if I can draw a straight line. And by the way, it is perfectly okay to laugh at me because I can't draw. I can't do circles. My circles are uneven. People have been laughing at me for years because I can't draw. But hey, such is life. Okay, so what we're going to do, and yes, write this down. You guys always ask, do I write it? Yes, you write it down. If I write it down, you write it down. Okay? All right, so in this column, what we're going to have are the subatomic particles. The charge, positive, negative, or neutral. The mass, and that's easy because it's either yes or no, and the location. And that's easy because it's either nucleus or electron cloud. Okay? These notes are going to really come in handy because I may give you a quiz tomorrow. And this will certainly be part of your warm-up. Okay? What I may do is just write out the objective and add the word what to the front of it. What are the names, locations, charges, and masses, etc., etc. You have your notes, you have your journal, you answer the question, and then you have a donut. It's great. Easy. All right, so remember, subatomic particles, what am I talking about? I'm talking about the parts of the atom. So I'm looking at the proton, the neutron, and then the electron. Okay, the proton, what's the charge? Correct, it is positive, and you can use a symbol. Does it have mass? You betcha. And remember that the mass is the identity of the element. If the number of protons change, and we can't do that, nature does that. Nature makes the atoms with a specific and unchangeable number of protons. And the location is in the nucleus. And the neutron, its charge, is it negative? No, it's neutral. Okay, does it have mass? Yep. And it's also in the nucleus. And then finally, the electron. The charge is negative. Does it have mass? No. Or very little. 1/1836. And I apologize, this is all new technology, and I'm trying to figure out a way how to zoom in on it. But I tell you what, I'll make you a deal. You send me a copy. You take a picture of the copy of your journal notes, and if they're incomplete, I'll send you these notes. So the electron has negative charge, it does not have any mass, and it is in the electron cloud. That little symbol is for the electron, the little E. Okay, so this is the I do part of it. You've been involved. There's not going to be very many opportunities where you're just sitting there twiddling your thumbs and I'm up lecturing. If I'm talking about stuff, we're doing it together and you're writing it down. So this is kind of the first two parts. Our objective is to understand the names, locations, charges, and masses of the protons and neutrons in the nucleus and the electrons in the electron cloud. You have it three ways. You have notes, okay? You have a diagram showing my wonderful artistic ability, and then you have a chart. Again, the color coding you can do, it just helps keep things organized in my mind. It's a good study skill. Okay, so I'm going to give you a few minutes. I'm going to leave these up. I'm going to make sure that you get them. Okay, and then with your shoulder partner, you are going to do some models. You're going to do some whiteboard activities. You're going to do some cut-ups, and we're going to reinforce this. But I'm going to give you a few minutes to do this, and if you're done, just kind of take a mental break, take a deep breath. I appreciate your attention.